What's up, traders? Welcome back to a daily trade journal and market analysis that we usually present at the end of the video. So, where I'll try to go over levels and where I think the market potentially go tomorrow. So, for me, I try to journal every session, not just for accountability, but because it helps me spot patterns and mistakes faster. The study shows that you're 3 times more likely to improve when you journal daily. So, it's a habit I highly recommend you guys try out if you want to level up your trading, whether it's on a notebook, video journal, or on the web, however you want to do it. So for today, I made about 990 trading mostly MES and ES toward the end of the day. And one thing I did notice about the market was that the market structure was flipping a lot. And I noticed that this has been going on for the last 3 days. So it feels like market makers are somewhat testing traders who rely on market structure signals, and they're trying to shake their confidence. And this is just a crucial reminder as well. No matter how reliable a signal is, no matter how reliable a system is, risk management is also essential, right? These false moves are designed to confuse and trick traders into abandoning their systems, because it kind of makes a lot of the new traders think that the market is random and nothing makes sense, and it just reinforces them that, hey, it's okay to trade random is because nothing else works. It's better to just trade my random monkey ways. And that's dangerous. That's how people lose money, because when you naturally trade randomly, you have no process, and the market maker breaks your process. That's how you lose money, because when you don't have a process anymore, everything is 50-50 at that point. And it's going to feel great when you win without a process, because it feels like you're always right. Because as a human being, we're always going to forget our mistakes and flaws. That's where journaling comes in, you know. But as for us, I always stress testing out a system religiously for 30 to 90 days before giving it up, and constantly following the process, whether it succeeds or fails. So we'll dive a little bit into the signals, and I'll show you where things work out and where things didn't work out and where things get confusing. So 8:30 market structure was bearish, which means we should be shorting the MOB line here. So that worked out pretty well here, right? And then over here, 9 9:45 market structure flipped bullish, which means we want to buy the dip. So you want to buy the dip here, and all over here, and then it eventually worked out here, and it went up higher, right? But then at this point, market structure flipped bullish again. So that's a double flip, and this would essentially make people think, oh, let me hold on to position, or let me average down again at MOB here, right? So then, since I already took longs here, I decided to exit here, and I just waited the MOB over here to go long again. And I did, and I went long at this MOB at 64.12, and I usually have a 10-point stop loss, and they had hit me just enough to hit that 10-point stop loss. So I eventually got stopped out at 64.02, which was the exact same point move there. Kicked me out of that trade, and it made me like sat there and thought about it, like, damn, market structure really scammed me today, at the 10:30 structure. So then by 11:30 here, market structure flipped bearish. But look what happened to the market here. We went up, right? So just as we drop a bunch, there was more net sellers now than buyers, and that's why market structure flipped. But just as there was enough net sellers, you know, and it gave us that confirmation that market is now bearish, market makers decided to push the market up. And this is how they break systems. They know exactly what it takes and where these systems are. Any indicators that we have, they have at these hedge funds and whatnot. And they know just what to do to break people. They know where exactly the tipping point is. So they pushed it up, and then by 12, we had a NQDDX1 buy signal. And this essentially tells us that market makers are accumulating position, and you want to take some longs here at the dip and go higher. So if you play based on that, it will work out. Then we went higher, and then by 12:30, market structure was bullish. So what that tells you is you want to buy the dip. So by 1:30, we had a dip to our uh, red line here, which is you want to buy the dip here, and then you want to buy the dip at the MOB here. And that played out, and then you want to buy the dip here as well. And this somewhat played out for 5 points, but if you try again the fourth time, it would fail. And this is also a lesson that you probably want to learn about support and resistance, where the more time it tests, the more likely it is to fail and break down. So that 1230 market structure worked out quite a few times until it didn't over here. And by 250, that was when we got the other market structure flip, which is actually over here. So this was a break of the MOB and market structure flip bearish. So this was a pretty good market structure. So the last two market structures worked out really well. The 1030 and the 1130 market structure did not work well. And this is an example of market maker breaking your system. It made you think at that point like, oh, market structure can't be trusted. And then by 1230 and 250, it was extremely effective. But at that point, I myself was starting to doubt it. I was like, oh, is today going to be one of those days where market structure couldn't be trusted? You know? And the only trade that actually made me money was around here when I took this trade, because I knew that market structure is now bearish and we had drop heavy selling candles. And that was the trades that gave me the confidence. And all these moving averages converge into the downside, which means we're somewhat bearish. So I just continue to short the resistance and pushing things downwards. So that eventually helped me make money toward the end of the day. But it was definitely a day where the market makers tested my faith in my own system. And I'm sure it tested a lot of other people's faith too. But that's something to think about going forward. Now, what are some crucial supports and resistance for tomorrow? Let's take a look. So I think going into tomorrow, I would say our 6410 is now going to be the new area that we want to watch. So let me switch over to this chart, 6410. So this is somewhat the range here. And then I would say 6400 is also another area as well. If we completely lose this tomorrow again, then we're bearish. So as long as we're above 6410 overnight, we're pretty bullish. We'll continue to bounce. If we go under 6410, then between 6410 and 6400 should be no man's land. And then under 6400, I would go short and expect things to flush again, just like that. I would expect things to go down a lot further. But tonight there are a lot of good news. There are a lot of earnings that came out between Meta and Microsoft that both performed really well. So I could see some profit taking them overnight as well, because they are hitting new all-time highs. So they could push market up a little bit more. And we are also at this interesting trend line here, as you can see here and here and here. So this is a downward trend line where we're making lower highs and lower lows, right? So as you can see here, we're making lower lows, lower lows. So this is a bearish trend. So unless we completely break over this 64.40 area, 64.42 area, and we close above it with strong volume, I wouldn't say we're fully bullish yet. Another thing to show some bullishness would be if we continue to break over and just backtest this and push higher. That will be another way to see us going bullish in the market. This was a little bit more detailed review today because we had so much structure signals and so much things going on. So I hope this helps and hope gave you guys an honest review of the market insights. And if you enjoy it, subscribe and follow our channel for more. And feel free to ask me questions if you have any. Thank you and have a great day.